Okay, I'm just making a quick tutorial for how to practice elevator manip on console. So, you turn your disk speed to fast. That affects the load times of the screens during the elevator manip. So it's important that you change it to fast like you would do in a run. You need to have 2 save files prepared in order to practice this. The first one is just before the squats minigame. There are 2 different arm swing patterns that you can practice easily on console without too much waiting. That is the fast 4 and the W4 pattern. And I'll try and do both in this tutorial. So first of all, we'll do the fast 4. So I load my save file, which is prepared just before the squats minigame. The reason we have to do squats here is to get the stone value, the 33, which is where it should be in a run. So just come in here and start the squats minigame. So once the minigame has started, you can do a soft reset, which is start, select, and the shoulder buttons. Stone is now on value 33, which is correct. If you don't change stone, you won't get the correct arm swing pattern, and this won't work. So now load your save file, which is just before the elevator climb. You can buy the batteries and then save in Wall Market. Now move up to the correct position just before the trigger line, where you see the kid at the top is swinging its arms. Now there'll be one more arm swing and then the 4 arm swing pattern will happen, the fast 4, F4. So next it's going to do one, 2, 3, 4. And once it stops, you leave. You don't have to be too quick, just wait for it to stop and then leave. The list value freezes, so your movement doesn't have to be perfect leaving that screen. As soon as Cloud hits the trigger line, the kid stops swinging its arms, and so the list value freezes. This screen is not affected by list, and so you don't have to worry about mashing quickly or moving in a particularly optimal way. The manip isn't affected by this screen, but it is affected by the next 2. And so for the next 2, you need specific movement depending on what the pattern is. And again, it's not tight, you just have to learn it. We are doing the fast 4, so the movement is walk on the first screen, walk on the second screen, and wait for the light to dim before exiting the second screen. So this first part is just normal. You have to make the swinging bar so you can grab it on the first cycle. So we move up here, and as soon as I leave this swinging bar, I'm going to start walking, because you have to walk on the first screen. I'm just holding up now without sprint, and Cloud is walking off the screen. This controls what list value you exit this screen on. Now again, for the F4 pattern, you have to walk the first screen, now walk the second screen. So I'm holding up left and just walking until Cloud starts climbing again. Now you can add sprint and run to the edge of the screen and wait for the blue light to Cloud's left to start dimming. Once it starts dimming like that, you can leave the screen. It's not a tight window. Just wait for it to start dimming and you know you're correct. Now, you have to enter and use a metronome beat to get the first floor that you want. It's the best way of doing this. There's a different beat depending on which pattern you used. So for the fast 4, we have to enter a specific metronome beat, and I will play that for you in a minute. In fact, we'll do it now outside, just so you know what it is. I'll start my timer and tell you what it corresponds to. You have to enter the elevator on the third beat of the first triplet, and then you have to close the last text box inside the elevator on the third beat of the next triplet. So I'll show you what that looks like with the timer so you can make your own beat. Live split is not playing. 1 second. I'm just going to now change live split so we can do this. Just changing the settings quickly. Done. No. Okay, live split is clear. Okay, and you see the timer here. We're going to use the first split. So I've got the F4 beat, and this is what it should look like timing wise. So I started the timer on the third beat of the first triplet. That's when you press confirm to enter the elevator. Now I'm waiting for the next triplet, and this corresponds to when to close the last text box inside the elevator. There. And so when I closed that, when the split did it, that's when you have to close the last text box. So it was on like 26 point something seconds. So now you run in as usual. The list value is not affected by your mashing speed on this screen or how you do this battle. So just throw the grenades. And do the battle as normal. So now this is where the timing with the metronome comes in. You have to run to the correct position with good movement because encounters are live on this screen. And I position Cloud so his head is lined up with that black frame on the right hand side of the elevator. So now I'm going to start the beat and enter on the third beat of the first triplet. Now it doesn't matter how you move or go through this part. Just make sure you get to the last text box and wait for the next triplet. I'm going to close it on the third beat of the triplet and move to the console and menu, just with walking. I messed it up. But we still got 17, but I was 2 frames late there, so this probably won't work, but we can try it. Cloud's hair went 2 frames past the corner of the console. So for the fast 4 pattern, on my piece of paper it says 4. But because we were 2 frames late, we have to take 1 off on the next floor. So it might be 3 from the neutral position. We'll try it. It might not work. Okay, that's 1 frame late, so instead of 3, I do 2. 1, 2. Okay, it did work. Perfect. And so now I was 1 frame late there as well, so my piece of paper says 5, so it becomes 4 on the corner. 1 frame late again, So instead of 4, I do 3. 1, 2, 3. And I have to make a note to do one less on the next floor again, because again, I was one position late. So my piece of paper says 3, but it becomes 2 on the corner. So 2 on the corner. Now, I was early there. Hopefully one position early. With one position early, I have to do an extra menu. So it was 2 on the corner. I said 2 on the corner. So I'll do 3 here. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And that's corrected. And now this last one says 0 on the corner or 7. We don't need to correct because we were early on the floor before. So 0 or 7. 1. So I'm 1 frame late there. So I can't do 0 on the corner because I'm already 1 frame late. So I have to use the backup, which is 7. 1 frame late becomes 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we get the backup Hito. And now we've made it to the top. So there you go. That's the first one. That's how you practice the fast 4. It's quite nice for the purpose of this video, for the tutorial, that I was 2 frames late there, and I still corrected 1. I was also early on another floor, and we still managed to get it. So that's a nice example. So now we're going to move on to the next pattern. So I do a hard reset. And now I'll show you how to practice the W4 pattern. It seems like a lot of information to take in at first, but you can get quite consistent at this. I think it just takes a little bit of practice and just getting confident with it mainly. So now we're going to load up squats again, but this time we want to generate the W4 pattern. These are the 2 different patterns that you can practice on console very easily and very quickly. So this time, instead of doing a soft reset when the minigame starts, play through the whole minigame. You don't have to win it, just make sure it progresses to the end of the minigame. So yeah, I don't need to be doing squats here, just wait until the end. Now run outside after you get the wig. Stone will still be on value 33, which is what we need. But we do a soft reset here now instead. Now this means that we've let list progress a little bit longer. And when we turn up at the arm swing pattern, when we load our second save, we will see 2 slow arm swings followed by 2 quick arm swings. That is the W4 pattern. So watching the kid at the top of the screen, 1. So it's not there, but it should be next, I think. 1. Maybe after the next one. 1, 2, 1, 2. And again, when the kid stops swinging its arms, that's when you leave. And for this specific pattern, for W4, you have to walk the first screen and then wait for the light to turn off before you exit the second screen. And I'll show you what that looks like now. So again, we have to make the swinging bar on the first cycle. And again, I'm just holding up because I have to walk the first screen, W4. But now I can sprint, so I'm holding sprint now, ready for the next screen. I'm just going to run to the top with good movement, and then we're going to wait for the light that's next to Cloud, to his left, to completely turn off before we leave the screen. So running to the top, stop, light was completely off, and then I left. It's not a tight window. Just as long as that light is off when you leave the screen, you will have it correct. So now I'm opening my W4 metronome beat. I'll do the same thing with the timer here, just so you can see roughly how much time is needed between entering the elevator and closing the last text box within the elevator. You'll see that it's slightly different. The last one was about 26.5 seconds, something like that. Now this one is again waiting for the third beat of the next triplet before I press split. Okay, and so that was, it's roughly the same place, but it's slightly different. You have a different beat for each pattern that you use. So okay, that's the beat that we're using, and we run inside, do the battle like normal. What I like to do is listen to the beat during this battle, just to prepare myself a little bit. Again, we're aiming for 3 frames that lead to floor 19, floor 15, or floor 17. So again, position Cloud on the black. His head is in line with the black right-hand side of the elevator frame. Start the beat, enter, press confirm on the third beat of the first triplet. Again, it doesn't matter what you do in this section. You can sprint, press the button. Just make sure you wait on the last text box, holding up so you're ready to walk towards the console directly afterwards. Okay, so Cloud's hair went one frame past the corner of the console, so just remember that again. Hold up, sprint, and cancel. And we get floor 15. So, on my piece of paper, I have the pattern, which is 8 menu buffers on the piece of paper. However, because I was one frame late with the hair, one frame past the neutral position, it becomes a 7. So at this point, I would shout 7 on the corner, 7 on the corner. In a run, just to make sure I don't get confused. So 7 on the corner, 7 on the corner. Again, we went one frame past the corner. So automatically, instead of 7, I do 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we get floor 29. Now on my piece of paper it says 6, but it becomes a 5 because again I was late before, so I say 5 on the corner. 5 on the corner, and this is interesting because I went 2 frames too far instead of 1, so I'll show you again what to do here. So 5 becomes 3 because we have to take away 2 extra frames, so 1, 2, 3. And we get the 38. And we have to take away 1 from the next number again. And so on my paper it says 2, so this becomes 1 on the corner. So it was 1 on the corner, we went 1 frame too far, so this is now 0. No menu buffers. And we get 47. So I was 1 frame too far again. On my piece of paper, it says 4. However, we have to take 1 off because we were 1 frame late again. So it becomes 3 on the corner, 3 on the corner. Again, we were 1 late, and so we do 2. 1, 2. And there you have it. That's how you practice both. Hopefully that explains it. In summary, you need your squat save, your elevator save, you need the metronome beats, and you need my little notes on the patterns, which of course I'll provide to anyone who wants to learn it. If you go 1 frame or 2 frames too far past neutral, you correct on that floor, and then you take 1 off on the next floor. If you're 1 frame early, you have to do 1 extra menu buffer to get to the neutral position, and then you don't correct on the next floor. So you use the number that's on my piece of paper.